Hi y'all, Keri Stevens here. And today I'm going to share with you some tips for how to look your best when you have to record video online. So I have some slides for you, but before we get started, I want you to think about some of the stress that you might feel when you're asked to do this type of recording. Well, if you feel stressed, you're actually pretty normal because most of us weren't trained to do this type of online work. So I'm going to share with you, first of all, a philosophical position that will help you kind of think best about starting these recording efforts. So there was an economist, Herbert Simon, who came up with the term satisficing. And the whole idea behind this is that when you're making decisions, you could spend an unbelievable amount of time to find the optimal solution. But most of the time, if you find one that's good enough, that's actually where you should go. So I want you to think about satisficing as I show you what is behind me in my office, okay? So this is actually what it looks like behind the scenes. I have a few things I'll point out. I do have a camera right up at the top of my screen. I also have a window right over to this side of me. You're going to notice I have a desk lamp, and I use that to add a little bit of extra light to kind of balance out the fact that I have a window on one side. I also have a remote mouse in my hand, and I'm going to show you what that is because when I teach in class, I use this to help me move around, and I have found that these can actually be great if you need to advance slides. But if you don't need to advance slides, certainly it's overkill. The other thing that I have done for a very long time is taught students to take a sticky note, okay, whatever kind that you have, and you want to put it right up next to your camera. And you'll notice that I have one in the picture on here. And what it does is it reminds you where to maintain eye contact when you're giving these presentations online. You'll also notice that I have a bookshelf behind me. This bookshelf was actually on the wall behind me. And I'm in my office that is actually my formal dining room because that's where I had to set up an office in my house. And so to create my own little space here, I pulled that up. And in a minute, I'm going to show you what's behind that. Other things to think about here are I have a desk that actually allows me to stand up at various times. And so what I'd like to do next is to talk a bit about light, because a lot of times students don't understand that you don't want that window behind you. You want as much light on the front of you as you possibly can. So let's take a look at this as an option, which is fine. But look, I also have above me an overhead light, and if I turn it on, it actually makes me look a lot worse. And so play around with light to try to put yourself in the best light possible. So what else is in my office? Well, if you actually look over there, that my front door is on the other side. You can also probably see my fish tank back there. I have no door. And then what is actually behind this bookshelf is a piano. Many of you are having to do recordings in your bedrooms and in rooms of your house and your apartments and your dorms that don't have optimum conditions. So I hope by showing you this, it'll give you some ideas for how to create your most professional space possible, especially when you have important things like interviews that you have to do. Okay, so let me share with you just a couple of other things. And you're going to notice that my cat loves to stay over here in the room with me. It's kind of hard because I don't have doors. So sometimes I have to put my cat up before I jump on one of these calls. And you can actually kind of see what my whole office looks like. It's not perfect, but I've satisficed and I've made it work. So what do you do if you only have a laptop computer? And I know that a lot of you are in this situation. I want you to take a look at what I've done here. First of all, when I use my laptop, I face the window so that I can get that light on my face. The next thing that I do is I know exactly where my camera is on my laptop. you're going to notice that the most common two places that cameras are located is at the top of your screen and at the bottom of your screen. I'm going to show you what happens if you don't know where that camera is here in just a minute, okay? I have also raised my laptop where it's eye level. And you notice I haven't done anything fancy here. I've used whatever office supplies that I had laying around my house. I also have an external keyboard, and you can pick one of those up for really an inexpensive cost. I think somewhere around $15 is usually what you can get a keyboard for, or you can get a really fancy one for more, but it really does help if you have a laptop to have an external keyboard. Now, what happens if you didn't prop up your laptop? That's what I'd look like, okay? So let's take a look at how I would look if I were like looking down, trying to find things. That's the view that you would see. You don't want to be doing either one of these. And I'll tell you, this is really common. So if you prop that laptop up, now you have it eye level and you're facing a window. And even in a t-shirt, you know, you can look a little bit more professional that way. I want to encourage you to make your own spaces work. The greatest tip that I heard recently is, do you remember when you were in elementary school and you had to do a science fair project and you got those trifold boards? They're not all that expensive. And if you are stuck in your bedroom and you want to put a background behind you, go get you one of those trifold boards. Set it up on a table behind you, and you've done exactly what I've done here, which is create my own little office space. Now, this is actually my daughter, and I have her set up where she's facing a window. You notice she's usually propping her feet up, enjoys her Starbucks coffee when she's working on her computer. She also has a headset that she uses quite often when she's not giving presentations. And then she has a couple of monitors, which we're fortunate that we can be able to have a couple of monitors. Confidence is really important in these settings, y'all. Let's be honest, whenever you're looking at a camera, it's hard because you can usually see yourself off in the corner and it makes you really, really self-conscious. A couple of things about clothing choices: try to choose solid colors. I don't know if you've seen this, but people who wear patterns, and if they move very much, it starts to get kind of sparkly. The rule of thumb is to avoid going too dark or too light on your colors. And a lot of times what I do in a professional setting is I put a jacket over a color, and then that kind of balances out a little bit. And the nice thing is that if I were to stand up, you'd see I'm wearing shorts, because the bottom line is all that matters is what we wear when people can see us in this environment. You might consider some makeup. If you're the type of person who wears makeup, that can make you feel a little bit more confident, a little less self-conscious because you're seeing yourself on camera. And then this is a very, I don't know, maybe it's a conceited thing to do, but if you want to know how you're looking, and if you want to be sure that you know you're maintaining eye contact properly, look into the camera and take some screenshots, and then paste those in, and you can actually see what you're looking like to the people on the other side. Now, I wish I were as carefree as my cat. Percy sits over here with me and just enjoys himself. So I want to ask you to be kind to yourself in this environment. It's not going to be perfect. I don't want you to feel like you have to spend a lot of money to create a space where you can look your best. We're satisficing here, y'all. It does not have to be perfect. You know, I'm not in a fancy recording studio. I actually have things going on around me at this very moment in my house. And whenever I get too stressed out, I light candles to make myself feel a little happier. So the final thing that I do is I'm always looking for ways to help other people. And so one of the main reasons I made this video is so hopefully the next time you have to give a presentation, and maybe it's high stakes, that these tips will help you make some tiny changes that will really provide you with great impact. Thank you so much. I'll stop now by sharing my screen and tell you that I wish you the absolute best as you go forth and you present your best self online. Thank you so much.